Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to today's show. As many of you who know me personally or follow me on Facebook or my modeling or have any interaction with me outside of my witch business and YouTube channel know, there's nothing more that I love than vampires and blood. Well, besides the full moon, vampires and blood dolls. However, as an empath, there is nothing I hate more or dislike more than a psychic vampire, or unless you want to call it energy vampire, narcissist, whatever. But there's nothing more. And that is the topic of today's show. So, today we're going to be talking about psychic energy vampires slash narcissists, if you'd rather use a psychological term, because they're pretty much just the same thing and do the same thing to your psychological being. Then we're going to talk about how to spot one. We're going to talk about the connection and relations between the vampire slash narcissist and empath, or highly sensitive person, and how to prevent fatigue from their energy sucking, psychic power sucking, life draining abilities. So, with that said, you can see it's going to be a longer video, so please bear with me. I'll try to keep more upbeat this time, like I did in the other longer videos, so bear with me because this is really, really important. Alright, so let's get started right away. So, like I said, psychic energy vampires, or narcissists. Who are they? Well, these are people that, as it says, they suck your energy. You come into contact with them and you just get drained. So psychic vampires, or energy vampires, emotional vampires, whatever you want to call them, there's so many terms, narcissists, whatever, are people who are either born or created in a way that they have this internal, like, yearning, desire, physical, like, need for energy from others that they just can't produce themselves. They feed off your life force and energy, or chi, whatever you want to call it. Mainly people, sometimes they'd even use animals, but they can also be called, like, empathetic vampires, energy parasites, whatever. They're predators, and you do it by manipulating another into whatever desired emotional state they can feel that person really dreams of, desires. They, like, can spot an empath. They know after meeting them what their triggers are going to be. They know how to get into that person, and they want your reaction. They want the love, the passion, the anger, your rage. If you were to be just neutral around them, they would just fade away. But because empaths are full of, and highly sensitive people are filled with so much emotion that's not just their own, they have, and we're so emotional, reactive people that we are perfect targets for them. So they come into our lives and pretty much prey on us, seduce us, trick us into either loving them, being best friends with them. They might buy you gifts. They might over compliment you. They might start behaving like you, start acting like you, whatever. Part of the reason they do this is they're trying to, like, some might be trying to learn how to feel those emotions, but I highly doubt it, because that's just an excuse. So some of the practices to get into it is, like I said, learning and picking up on what your most vulnerable triggers and needs that you want in a mate or a friend or whatever, and they take it and they make you think that you're in love if it's in a relationship. If it's outside of a relationship, if it's a friend, these are like the people that kind of become like stalker type friends. Like they obsess over you. They start like becoming you or becoming what they think you want in a friend, getting you things that they think you want, wanting to do things with you, or inviting you to do things that they think or know you want to do, even though you barely know them. They like attach onto you and like they just drain you. And this, in some cases, when it's outside of a relationship and it's somebody on the outside, they're just using you to either become you or to use you to get to where they want. And they will take away your energy and your power and take it on themselves because they can't feel that. And they also love the drama and the chaos of it all, like your response to it. When we get mad at these people, when we figure out and are like conscious of these type of people, these vampires or narcissists, and we react, they love it. They live off of it. If we show love or care or anger or rage towards them, that's what they want. But if we don't show anything, they, like I said before, go away. So how do we spot these people? What are the signs so that we're fully aware? All right. So one is they like to point out an extremely arrogant, and I say arrogant because it's not that they actually are better than other people, it's just arrogance, manner, how stupid everyone around them is, or how crazy everyone is, or how they are so much better, or they bump up like the skills in which they have without being able to back it up. And I mean, some people might say I'm arrogant, but like I said, I can usually back up the things that I like get all cocky about. And that's just the Taurus in me. Sorry. And my moon's in Capricorn, so it's inevitable. That's completely different. These are people who like convince themselves in this delusional world that they are so much better. And it's coming from a place of inferiority complex, like a severe inferiority complex, but they convince themselves that they are this great person. And they might start doing extreme things, like, for example, just kind of getting involved in some type of thing, and all of a sudden they're off acting as if they're on the top already without even having put in any work, or bragging about things that may or may not be true. They really create a false identity, and when you do some research on the person, you find out that 90% of what they say is complete crap. They also tend to be cheaters. So if you've known this person or have heard things about them, they tend to like be constant cheaters. And I don't mean like, oh, I'm talking to my ex or whatever. I mean like literally they just go out and they just do whatever. And it's not, oh, I believe in poly, I believe in open relationships. They just have no respect for anybody else because all we are pawns to them. They don't understand why people refuse to accept the fact that life sucks and bad things happen. So they're just like really negative people, right? Like they want you to believe that nothing positive can happen, and they don't understand why. Like somebody like myself, for example, I sometimes prepare for the worst, but I don't think everything's horrible. But they want somebody like you or me or I to believe that everything inevitably is just going to suck and everything in the world is just bad. They complain about everything. Like they have nothing positive to say unless it's to like suck up to you and get you into their world and into their whatever, you know. They're extremely argumentative and argue about everything. Not in like a debating manner or because they like politics or they like some type of thing, and they want to have a discussion about it and argue about it. They just, well, I mean, to the point where it's crazy making. And this is why I say so much about that energy or psychic vampires are narcissists. Because when you look up what the information on how to spot one is, or what they are, it's the same exact shit that you're going to find when you look up narcissists. So basically, they crazy make or gaslight you. So when I'm talking about argumentative, they'll say, like, here's a great example. I have a Red Bull, because I know it's bad for me, but I have a kid and barely sleep. So I have a Red Bull, okay? I'm putting it right over here. There's a table right here. I'm putting it right there. I leave the room, and let's say I'm hypothetically dating one of these people. They move it on me. I come back and say, no, it was there. And they'll start a huge fight with you to get a rise out of you. And they move it purposely just to cause that chaos and say, no, it was never there. I don't know what you're talking about. You must be imagining things. And this is to get that energy out of you, because they need some type of extreme energy out of you to be able to take it from you. So just being extremely negative, bringing you down. They find any way to bring you down. And it's not like, oh, because they're like honest, blunt people about things. They just are trying to knock you down. If you're dating them, they will play these games where they will be fully and madly in love with you, like right away, and then drop you for a while, and then all of a sudden fully in love with you again, until like they come back and forth to just get that energy from you. They are depressed and sad with a victim mentality, and make up stories about things that have happened to them. And you find out that the majority of what they claim has happened to them, that they're trying to make you feel sorry for them about, isn't true. They'll pretend they have illnesses that they don't have. They'll pretend that they got injured when it never happened. They'll pretend that they're sick to get you to come care for them, but they're not actually sick. They make it all up. They're the victim in everything. You could catch them cheating, and they turn it around and would be like, well, why were you like talking to that person anyways? Were you like, you shouldn't have been doing that. They turn everything on you. They do I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And it's not like the normal person who has depression or whatever who does that. It's for your pity. They take no responsibility for anything that they've done, because they don't feel guilt or anything like that. And they are very codependent and needy people. Like overly needy. And this might sound like a lot of us as empaths as well, and that's why a lot of empaths, after they break up with like a narcissist or psychic vampire or whatever like that, will start questioning, am I one? Well, no. I mean, these people used this vampiric ability originally as a coping mechanism for these things, and it got out of hand. And they were predisposed and born with the capability to become this, but because they didn't cope with their lives correctly, they became this. And that's why in one of my videos I said I sometimes call psychic vampires empaths that went the wrong way. Because, empaths, we can feel at people's energies, but we don't use it for bad reasons, right? These people do. So, I mean, that's why. They also tend to be very comfortable where they are in life, no matter where they are, and we're extremely uncomfortable watching how they are. And that's because no matter what happens, even though they think everything's negative and everything's horrible and whatever, they find a way to create an illusion about their life. For example, they might get totally pushed out and get called out and found out and figured out, and then they'll be like, oh, make a huge, maybe on Facebook or some type of social media, so it's public. It always has to be public. They'll make some big stink about how horrible these other people are and that they're the ones that are in the wrong, and they act like that. And then they'll say something like, I think it's time for me to just do the, like, figure myself out, or spend some time on myself, or focus on my family, or focus on this instead. Like, I didn't really care about that thing anyways. And like, I'm so much better. Like, they just create this fake reality. Some more signs is at first they're very likable. You will like them at least at first glance. Like, there's something about them that they might annoy the shit out of you, but there's just something about them that is charming and likable. Not all of them are extremely loud and proud, like I said. Some are more quiet and shy, and not the braggy types, but that's also a type of game. There's like the shy version and the grandiose version. Same thing as with the narcissists. They always manage to make the conversations about themselves, and not in the way that like a lot of empaths and stuff do, where they're trying to show like, yes, I went through this so I can relate. It's more of, well, I did this, so like I'm obviously like so much better, and not in like a sarcastic, like people who know me know that I get like sarcastic and do that stuff just to be obnoxious. But like, these are people that do that. They also do a lot of name dropping of people that they like. There's no way that they could have ever come in contact with these people. They'll name drop, and they all of a sudden like will start finding ways to try and show in some manner that they have some type of relation with these people, but they totally don't. So every story, just like the energy that they're taking from us, where it has to be extreme, where it has to be either very much love and very much anger or rage, or it's always extreme and there's no middle ground. It's either the best of times or the worst of times. The same thing with the stories that they tell. Either it's very grandiose and very awesome about them and how great their lives are, or it's how tragic and failing and the entitled victim, and when they get caught in something, it's, oh, well, you know, this just happened to me. When really, they're not even, they could be like, oh, well, I was being abused, and I am falling back into the cycle, because they know that you're a sensitive, caring person, or you yourself have been through that. But in reality, there's no proof of it. And these are also the people that give like survivors of like rape and abuse a really bad name, because they will pretend. Like, I dated somebody who I opened up about like some of the assaults and stuff I went through, and this was a male, and he was telling me these stories of how he's been raped all these times, and it was so many more times than me. And anytime I was feeling down, he had to like top my depression, and it could never be for me. Like, he could never comfort and be there for me. I always had to caretake him and drop how I was feeling. And then I find out later on that these stories were all fake and illusions. But then, of course, there was an excuse for that, because I obviously I'm schizophrenic then. I'm delusional. I thought these things were true. I don't know the difference. I mean, come on. Like, in some cases that could be true, but no. Psychic vampires like nice things. They are not really good with criticism at all. You could just give one small little, like, this, you'd be a little better if you, like, okay, let's say, for instance, if they're modeling, right? You say, move, which every photographer or another model will tell another model, like, oh, you could work on this. It's normal. Like, they could be like, just move your head a little bit, and they'll take it inside of like, oh my God, this is just, that person's so horrible. They're so mean that I don't ever want to work with that person again. As I said, excuses are their main thing. And everywhere they go, they leave a trail of wreckage behind them because they're sucking you dry and they're creating chaos wherever they leave. And every time you let this person back in your life, you somehow end up in a worse position than you were the last time that you let them back into your life and they screwed you over. Because they keep coming back and sucking you dry more. Let's see, what are other signs? They probably don't even know that they are this, to be fully honest, because there's, like I said, they aren't living in reality at all. So they'll never admit this, nor do they fully realize what they're doing. I do think some know what they're doing, but I don't think they know that they don't know that it's wrong. They don't know that they are a psychic energy vampire or narcissist. They don't know that that's what it is. But they know what they're doing because they're manipulative. They're game players. So they know exactly the act that they're doing, but they don't know that it's not right. They don't know right from wrong. Even if they claim they do, they don't. They just can't comprehend it. They're living in their own delusional freaking world. So, that was, I've already taken up a lot of time just explaining the signs and how to find them. I kind of touched on the relation between a psychic energy vampire or narcissist, if you again rather go into psychological terms, and how they relate with an empath or a very highly sensitive being. But to go a little further into what I mentioned in my opening is, again, they seek these people out. They can sense them a mile away. There's no coincidence that they choose the people that they do. They know that these people are going to either call them out. They know that these people are going to or else fall madly in love with them, and no matter what, they can keep them on a string for whenever they need them. They know, they can sense that you are a sensitive being. They can sense that you are a survivor or still in the victim phase of something. They can see it in your eyes because survivors, empaths, and highly sensitive people tend to have very deep eyes, while these people have very dead eyes, which was another sign. It's very, very dead. So they sense you out. They can tell. And once they sense you out, then they kind of observe you and they start figuring out how to get you wrapped around their finger. So you might be somebody that always dreamed of having the perfect marriage, and you wanted a perfect marriage, you wanted kids, whatever. And this person comes into your life. They sense you. They only want these type of people. They don't want an average person. So they come into your life. They start telling you everything you ever wanted to hear. And you, as the empath and stuff, really can't get a read off of them. And you can't feel their energy. And you think that's kind of weird. or you just ignore the gut feelings you get about them. And they convince you that they're everything that you needed, and the romance rushes very quick. You end up getting married, but during this time, there's so much drama, so much fighting, so much energy sucking. You may have gone from being a very active person in your community, or very energetic, and all of a sudden you just don't feel like doing anything. You're completely drained. And as we talked about in the empath videos, we kind of have that introvert type aspect where we do have to go into seclusion for a while anyways already as an empath. Well, dealing with these people, it's like, yeah, it's so much quicker. It's like being in a room of like 5,000 people for a month, with just living with one of these people for like a week. And that's the best way I can explain it. They suck you dry. You start questioning if you're going crazy. You become extremely fatigued. You might start getting PTSD. Your psychic abilities go away. You can't do anything, and you get so wrapped up and obsessed and focused onto what is going on and the drama of it all, because you care about everything so much that they suck the life out of you. They take your life, basically. So the relationship is extremely strong. And then you keep going back because you somehow believe. Because you can't feel their energy. So it's just a really weird, horrible cycle. And so that was an example of like the love relationship thing. Like, for example, if you want a marriage, whatever, and you get into their lives, they will use so many ways to just take your energy. It's freaking ridiculous. But the video is already really long, so I'm going to cut it short. I'll probably make another video about them going more in depth on certain things and break it up later on in the future. So to end it, I'm just going to talk about some ways that you can prevent the fatigue aspect. And like coping mechanisms that are different than I've mentioned in empath videos, which were more about like the crystals and the blocking yourself. As I said before, being neutral with these people is usually the best way. And I know it's really, really hard to do, and we eventually might call them out. And I know I make that mistake a lot, where I get neutral for a long time and do not react, or I play along and just play nice, but don't, go over the top, or, point out what I'm noticing. And we react a lot, but we need to keep teaching ourselves more and more time, because we are going to be attracting these people a lot. You can't stop yourself. So learn not to react. And that's probably the hardest one, I think, that you're going to have to deal with coping with these people. Stop making a long eye contact with them. Do not do this. Their eyes are dead but powerful, and they will suck you in. That's one of, think about it. The eyes are the gateway to the soul. That is one of the best ways they can suck you dry, and get you under their spell, so to say. Set time limits in which you interact with them. Learn not to argue or contradict yourself, because they will find any way to be able to start a big fight with you to break your energy down, because their fights are horrible. What they do is extremely draining. So if you're going to have any contact with these people, do not contradict yourself. Do not argue. And it's so tempting to argue. That goes back to the reacting. It's very linked to that. Do not do it. Just, the more you resist them, the more they will leave you alone. Okay? I mean, if they might start doing what they call, I forgot the term right off the top of my head. Love bombing, which in the friend way or in the work way, they'll do it the same way, where it's like, if you start ignoring them, they start doing over the top compliments, over the top gifts, over the top this or that, and like totally bombing you with all this. But if you continue to ignore them and block them through that period, then they get extremely upset and pissed off. They might go into seclusion. They might start playing victim mode. They're going to go through a lot of different cycles through your resisting period, but continue to keep resisting. If you have to be around these freaking leeches, have other people with you. Like, for the love of God, so that you're not alone with them. Listen, if you're going to be around them, and they simply just kind of want to ramble on, just let them talk and give them the least amount of information you possibly can. Because the more they know about you, the more they can use. The more you talk about yourself, the more energy they're going to take. Especially if you're an introverted, empathic person. The less talking you do, the more energy of yours you preserve. So, listen, don't talk. Try sticking to light-hearted topics. Don't get into politics. Don't get into religion. Don't get into anything that is extremely, where basically anybody can become debatable. And I hate small talk, but that's pretty much the only way you can deal with them, if you have to. Going back to what I've said in the empath videos, you can visualize the light energy shields around you. I'm not going to go back into that whole thing because I already explained it in the empath videos, as well as like the crystals and the saging and the protection mechanisms that you can do. Avoid them as much as possible. Of course, in like work situations, it's kind of hard to avoid. If you're already married to them, it's difficult. There's a thing called gray rock, I believe it's called, and that's a great way to deal with them if you have to deal with them, or if they're a family member in which you happen to live with. Gray rock is a great thing, and that's going back to the do not react. It's always yes, don't react. The best thing you can do is just cut off contact fully. Block them from everything. Block their number, block their Facebook, block. Just cut them fully off. And it's going to be really hard because there is an addictive element to psychic vampires, energy vampires, narcissists, whatever. A very, very addicting aspect. But that only comes with after being with them, around them for a long time. And it can be extremely hard, especially because these people tend to, like I said, do the bombing, and then they do the anger, and then they do the, it's like it completely like switches. They switch, like they go from being your best friend to being like your worst enemy in like a millisecond. They go from being your soulmate to your worst enemy in a millisecond. So it's really the best option because then they're fully out of your life. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to think about them. You're not going to be talking about them to other people about like, what should I do? How should I handle this? Oh, did you hear that they're doing this now? Like, not even talking about them whatsoever, because that's still giving them energy. Maybe not directly, but you're indirectly giving them energy, and they're still winning. You're still draining yourself and draining your time and energy that could be spent otherwise focused on these people, obsessing about these people, and that's not kosher. So that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, this is a topic that I could go on for a very long time about and go much deeper and break it apart. So if you want more information, you can message me or comment below saying that you would like more future videos on these topics, and I will continue. I know a few people have told me that they really, really want a lot of stuff on the empaths and the psychic vampires, energy vampires. So I'll be continuing with that in the future, just not right after one another. Next week I'm going to be talking about twin flames and soulmates. So a much more positive video. So yeah, if you have any questions, want more information, message or comment, message me on my Facebook page, email me at lilithrevenant@yahoo.com. Go to Lilith's Laboratory on Facebook and message me, or comment below, or message me on here. So yeah, just try your best to stay away from the only vampires that truly, truly suck. Alright, so as usual, I'm going to below put my information for more contact, or to see my sites and stuff. Also, if you liked this video, please like it, share, and subscribe for more future videos. And thank you for hanging in through this 36-minute video. And I love you all, and I hope you have a great week. And I look forward to having a much more upbeat topic next week. So, bye. Have a great week.